right, it's good to be back. Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm in the process of putting together a brand new introduction for the show, one that is going to be pretty fire, as the kids say. It's been a little bit. Really happy to be on the podcast tonight. I've been super busy with my coaching career, coaching modified wrestling, which has been great. But I'm in the process of, putting forth time when I can. Time is very tough sometimes to come by these days, and being as busy as I am. Last week I wasn't able to do a preview and prediction. I would have told you that I felt like it was going to be a shootout between the Buffalo Bills and the Cincinnati Bengals to do a little bit of a post-game show here to start the show. What a week last week was. I mean, in terms of entertainment value that the Bills and Bengals game provided, that was one of the best endings to a game, one of the best fourth quarters. It was very reminiscent for me to the Bills beating the Baltimore Ravens week 1 with that epic comeback. Another epic comeback, another huge comeback by the Buffalo Bills. And to get it done the form and fashion that they did just goes to show you just how for real the guy behind me right here, Josh Allen, just how for real he is. There's almost like a little beam of light shining down from my office lights here on Josh Allen, and I think that's pretty fitting for you guys watching the stream at home. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in to today's episode of the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. I'm going to dive right into a preview and prediction of this week's action between the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, just as much as this game means everything for the Buffalo Bills, for the New England Patriots. It means a lot to each fan base. I think each fan base is just really, really ready, game ready for this to take place, right? This is a opportunity that each team's got to kind of put one over the other, right? Put one over. Yes, the Patriots have already beaten us, right? They've already put a beating on us, if you want to call it a beating. I mean, was it a beating? I don't really want to call it that, right? This was a real battle the first time around between these two teams, and dare I say it, a lot of the back and forth between these two teams was mistakes made by the Bills. I would argue that Buffalo made more mistakes and the Patriots made more success for themselves. So looking through all this stuff that I'm looking at here, as far as the new StreamYard stuff, they've added so much stuff to this. So I'm sorry if I'm a little distracted, but let me tell you something. One thing I'm not distracted by is the fact that these two teams, for all the hate that these fan bases kind of throw at each other, these are right now, I would say these are the two best quarterbacks in the AFC between Drake May and Josh Allen. In terms of how they've played the entire season, Drake May has had a hell of a year. I can't take anything away from him. You know, entering his second season, he's had a huge jump in who he is as a competitor, who he is as a leader. I like Drake May. In terms of him as a player, seems like a decent guy. There's a lot to like about Drake May. And there's a few quarterbacks, since 2018 that realistically I could compare to Josh Allen in terms of some style points or attributes or things like that. Drake May's got a little bit of that, to him, a little bit of that underdog bite to his game, that athleticism, that extendability. all those things that Josh Allen has in droves, Drake May's got like little touches of that, but he's a pretty solid passer as well. And when you get that passer coming off of his rookie year, pardon me, more weapons, then you're going to see a little bit of a jump. And those weapons had their backs against the wall in their own careers. Guys like Stephon Diggs, right, that were coming off of a down year in Houston after being traded from Buffalo, getting hurt last year. You didn't really know what Stephon Diggs was going to bring to the table. And for all the criticisms that Stephon Diggs has kind of opened himself up to as a player, this kind of journeyman wide receiver going from Minnesota, complaining about Kirk Cousins not getting the ball, going from Buffalo, complaining about Josh Allen not getting the ball. CJ Stroud, he gets hurt, he tears his knee. Now he's got Drake May that he's working with. He knows in this opportunity, I think why it's worked so well for Stephon Diggs is because he knows that he couldn't do those same things that he did to Josh Allen, that he did to Kirk Cousins this time around. He had to kind of be the guy for the guy, which Diggs was for Allen. So he's good at doing that, but before long, if the T's aren't crossed and the I's aren't dotted, Stephon Diggs will let you know that he's frustrated. I'd like to think that the same thing would happen in New England if they don't get it done this year. Stephon Diggs won't, be there for a long period of time. Maybe he walks out of the league or he goes to Dallas or, something along those lines. But when I look at the season that the Patriots have had, tip your cap. They've had a really solid season, but I just don't see a legitimacy to the Patriots that I should see from a team that is 10-3 or 10-3, something like that. Let me pull it up just so I have it in front of me. This is a team that Mike Vrabel led, right? He's definitely made a huge difference in their current season. Pardon me, they are 11-2. A team that's 11-2 with a first-year head coach, Mike Vrabel. You got to give credit where credit is due on that. But I just don't see the firepower that scares me. I don't see a defense that scares me. Denver Broncos, that's a defense that scares me. I think that defense has a lot to prove to a lot of different teams. They play with a different type of edge. Buffalo's offense, when it's moving, when it's needed, they make plays. And Josh Allen is doing more with less than really any quarterback in the game, and really nobody's talking about it. They're talking more about Drake May's doing really, really well. He's done this, he's done that. And I agree with them. Drake May, as I've mentioned from the top, he's had a great, great season. But looking at this as easily as I could, there's a reason why this is a preview and prediction. Is this game Allen versus May? Is Allen versus May a kind of a key to everything? Is that the key to this game? Just like it was for Joe Burrow and Josh Allen? Was that the case? Because that's what everybody said prior to the game. It's Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen. Whichever one has the better game out of the two is going to win this game. Is that the case again? Because it was quite the opposite. Joe Burrow was doing a lot of things last week to the Buffalo Bills defense for the majority of that game that made the Buffalo Bills defense look as if they were below average. Bills couldn't get off the field on third down. But he's got T. Higgins on one side. He's got Jamar Chase on the other. He's got Mike Gesicki. He's got Chase Brown. Bengals offense has not been the problem for their season. Joe Burrow's health and that defense is why their record is now 4-9. But Drake May plays a style where he's not going to try to do too much. He's only going to try to play within the scheme that's thrown at him. Mike Vrabel wants to run the football too, with guys like Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson to kind of eliminate a little bit of those mistakes, lessening the attempts of opportunity for May to throw a turnover. All those things are well and good, but if Josh Allen forces you into a shootout, then you're in a shootout. And I've never seen Drake May in a shootout. I haven't seen him go tit for tat, toe to toe with the game's best. Was that first week between the Bills and Patriots necessarily a shootout? No, there was some critical thinking, close but no cigar moments where the Buffalo Bills made some mistakes that put the ball back in the Patriots' hands and gave the Patriots more opportunities to control the clock, control the scoreboard, and eke out a victory, 23-20, if my memory serves me right. And in that game, I thought, okay, this is a different Patriots team. Yes, they are different. But is it to the tune of, man, I'm really scared, about a team that beat the Saints the following week 25-19, puts up 30 on Tennessee, puts up 30 on Cleveland. That's supposed to impress me. They barely got past Atlanta. Buffalo lost to Atlanta. So that was a close game at home against the Falcons. Close one against Tampa Bay. Close one against the Jets, I'd even say. Close one against Cincinnati in their own right. Have they really beaten anybody on their record, on their 11 losses? Have they really beaten anybody other than the Bills? And I think the best team they played against outside of the Bills is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who the Bills beat and who the Patriots lost to. So we got the Bills for the Patriots coming up. We got the Ravens. Is that 2 losses? You got the Jets. You got the Dolphins. I'm not going to expect much from the Jets. I'm just not. Can I expect something from the Bills? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Now, Benford is a huge X factor in this game. Christian Benford is a massive X factor in this game. I don't remember Christian Benford playing in this Week 5 tilt between the Bills and the Patriots. I remember the Bills secondary being pretty beat up. Now, I could be wrong on that. But something happened in that game. Whether Christian Benford was inactive, according to this, he was not. But I think he got hurt, which put him out for the majority of the game. Yes. So that I have as a huge X factor for that reason. Christian Benford, if he lines up on Stephon Diggs, those two guys know each other pretty well based on their time being teammates together. Those two guys can kind of feed off of each other, and we'll see what that matchup brings. But if Christian Benford plays anything like he did last week against Cincinnati, Drake May is going to be forced to do some things he hasn't quite done yet. Now, rather than over-relying on one target, he's going to have to rely on a lot of guys that have not really done much of anything for the Patriots this season. I go to Pro Football Reference all the time. I love to look at statistics, love to see who's doing what. And the Patriots have a very interesting supporting cast surrounding Drake May. 2 of the pieces of that puzzle we know very well in Mac Hollins and Stephon Diggs, right? But to me, I don't see much to be feared. I don't see receivers that are beyond those 2 that really, put fear in me. Um, Hunter Henry is a guy that has been doing things for quite some time. He's been pretty damn good. Keyshawn Booty, he's another guy that is close behind Stephon Diggs in terms of yards and receptions and things like that. But this is a team that is known for running the ball. Henderson's got 625 yards on only 129 attempts, 4.8 yards per carry. Diggs has 705 receiving yards. Hunter Henry has 610. To my point, the receiving leader on this team in receiving touchdowns is actually Keyshawn Booty. It is not Diggs. It is not Henry. So that's a guy that Buffalo is going to have to game plan for. That's a guy as well outside of Diggs that Buffalo would have to game plan for. 6 touchdowns is a lot. But is he a guy that I fear? I can't really say so. This secondary has shown me improvement. Guys like Cole Beasley, guys like Christian Benford have really stepped it up this season. Jordan Poyer has been much better than what I thought he would be at this, tender state of his career. Um, Joey Bosa is a guy as well that needs to play. Will Bosa play? Will he be out there? I don't know. Should he be out there? If Buffalo feels as if he should be out there, if they feel like this is a matchup, we need Joey Bosa, then I get it. I get it. Because outside of Joey Bosa, nobody's really rushing the passer. And that, to me, has frustrated me more than anything related to any wide receiver one talk or anything like that. Gabe Davis has filled in pretty nice. Brandon Cooks, hasn't really had a lot of receiving opportunities, but I feel like he's fit so far more than what I thought he would in terms of run blocking and things like that. Maybe they'll see a little bit more of him in the receiving game. He's a little bit newer or longer in the tooth in this offense now, a few weeks in. He's not necessarily as new. He's new, don't get me wrong, but not necessarily as new. Maybe we see a little bit more from him this week. Dalton Kincaid, a huge factor in this one as well, because it was a huge factor last week. When you put the best pieces to the puzzle out there, you're going to be able to just show so many different looks. And I think that's what makes Dalton Kincaid such a dangerous weapon. Maybe he's not going to have as high a snap count as even Jackson Hawes or Dawson Knox. He didn't last week. But throwing him out there, you're able to show so many different things. 2 tight end, 3 tight end. Out wide, I've seen them put him. I think the athlete that is Dalton Kincaid makes for a mismatch any given week. But that depends on whether he's out there, number one. Also depends on whether Joe Brady finds it. I thought Joe Brady did fairly well last week, fairly well. He was better against Cincinnati than he had been in previous weeks, but there were some head scratchers in there, especially on that final drive. It was 2nd and 10. Josh Allen's throwing the football. I would have ran that clock down, make it 3rd and short. Just the simple things. Just the simple things, making this game a lot easier rather than harder than it has to be. And I also think that you have two teams that know each other so well because of the fact that they're division rivals. This game will be close, which brings me to my score prediction for this one. I'm going Bills 28-24. I think this is another, one possession or under game. I think Drake May is legit. I do think that the kid has a lot of attributes that make him Allen-esque, maybe Allen light. Josh Allen is just such a supreme athlete. All the things he can do, I marvel at it every single week. Marveling at this kid for 8 years. That throw to Shakir, that catch by Shakir, one of the best throws and catches on that touchdown last week against Cincy that I've ever seen, right? I say, what a throw. Even my mom, shout out to my mom, watching the game at her house, and she's just blown away by this guy every single week. You know, it's a privilege to be able to watch this quarterback play. I think of all the guys that they had over the years. The 17-year playoff drought largely was due to the fact that they did not have the right quarterback. They could not find the guy. 8 years in to Josh Allen's career, 1 MVP, 2 AFC championship games, and we got to get this guy in a damn Super Bowl. Every time he makes a big play, I think to myself, man, this guy needs to be in the biggest game with the brightest lights against the toughest team that the league has to offer in the NFC. That's what the game needs Josh Allen in a Super Bowl. The Bills have to make it happen. If you beat Joe Burrow, you beat Lamar, you beat Drake May potentially, you beat Pat Mahomes, that should get you to the dance, right? That should get you to the dance. I'm not worried about Bo Nix. I'm not worried about 44-year-old Phillip Rivers. I'm not worried about Justin Herbert as much as those guys this season. But you gotta get to the bowl this year, man. This is the year. It's got to be. Now, do they have the right pieces to get there? I don't know. Have we seen this consistently this year? No, we have not. This year has been a very weird year, and I feel like they're kind of reverting back to some old habits. Old habits die hard, but reverting back to those old habits of maybe being your own worst enemy or playing down to the level of who you play, you just can't do it. You just can't. You can't play down to who you're playing. And, you know, on one side, you got Mike Vrabel, who's this defensive, all-pro player back in the day for the Patriots, who I always felt like was meant to be in New England in general. Even when he was in Tennessee, I felt like somewhere along the way, this guy's going to coach the Patriots. It was just meant to be. And I like him a lot as a coach. I think he's done a phenomenal job, but I'm not going to like him on Sunday. I can't like him on Sunday. He's going up against my team. Can't like him on any day that he's going up against the Bills. I couldn't stand him when he was on the Titans because he's a tough out. He's a tough coach. His teams are tough. His teams are durable. They do the simple things really, really well. And that's why they're 11-2. In a nutshell, all those little simple things of making this game simple. Run the football, control the clock, win the turnover battle, be tough on defense, get to the quarterback. The Patriots defense is not really elite, but they're not bad. And they're not poor really in any category. So that just shows you that they're just a fundamentally sound team. Let's go to some comments here. Chris Christian says, a lot of players have one good year and then regress. That's true. That's very true. Let me know who you're referring to on that one, Chris. Maybe Diggs. Could be May. Jim Graham says, the Bills season is bipolar. Yes. 1 minute we're happy. 1 minute we're pissed. 1 minute we're sad. 1 minute we're glad. I feel like I went through a whirlwind of emotions watching the Bills take on the Bengals this past weekend. I knew that game was going to be a shootout. If I would have been able to hop on here and do a show, I would have told you, that's a shootout written all over it. But nonetheless, I got the Bills winning this one 28-24. There you have it. That is the preview and prediction show, Week 15. If you made it to the fantasy football playoffs, congratulations. If you got a number one seed like I do, congratulations even more. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Take care. Enjoy the game Sunday. And last and certainly not least, go Bills.